This is why I think you and I differ on our angle with regard to, for example, Candace Owens. I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what? Because I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing ERIKA of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch Candace's show.
I believe you.
Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch Candace's show.
I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that
that
friendship should not, in our business, I think it's important. Listen, friendship should not trump.
We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't...
Hello, good people. Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, and getter of buckets. And I have to say this. I say stuff like this all the time, and I know it sounds cliche, but I thought Megyn Kelly couldn't go any lower, but of course I was wrong. I think that at this point, and I can tell that most of my listeners are in agreement, right? Most of my listeners are in agreement. If you click on Megyn Kelly's face, you are doing a disservice to the American people. That's basically where I am right now. We have to be 100% off of duplicitous and dishonest people like Megyn Kelly. Because what you just watched is Ben Shapiro telling Megyn Kelly that Candace Owens is out here accusing ERIKA KIRK of participating in the murder of her own husband. Now, Megyn Kelly, you saw in the clip, she says, I don't listen to that information. Keep that in mind because that's going to be important. And then Megyn Kelly had the unmitigated gall to come back and say this.
He said that Candace has been claiming ERIKA KIRK was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard. And I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending ERIKA KIRK and saying she would never make a claim like that about ERIKA, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point. But she's specifically been defending ERIKA KIRK. And she's been saying she does not think that of ERIKA. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about ERIKA. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't.
So here's what's so interesting about that. She mentioned right there at the end, she's under pressure to make comments about ERIKA. And what she doesn't tell you is that those are Candace's own fans who were saying things like, you should call out ERIKA because they're not stupid. They're putting two and two together. And basically, Candace has been saying everything except for saying it explicitly. I guess at this point, going to jettison the whole concept of implicit. If you don't physically say the actual words, ERIKA KIRK killed her husband, or ERIKA KIRK participated in killing her husband. I guess in that sense, it's impossible that she has said words that logically redound to that effect. Apparently, Megyn Kelly doesn't understand this. But I want to take a step back here because Megyn Kelly is about to be exposed for the dishonest person that she is. And this is really sad because we need, or I shouldn't say we need, it's good to have as many positive and honest voices as we can on the right. We don't need these people, but it's nice to have them, okay? Just like God raised Megyn Kelly up, he can take her down. That's the way this works. But I think what I want to do is I want to take a step back because it's important to understand this concept. I said yesterday in a video that Candace Owens seems to not respect Charlie Kirk or respect the late, great Charlie Kirk. And the reason why I said that is because all of her efforts implicate Charlie as being kind of impotent, kind of a pushover, easy to control, easy to manipulate, not able to see clear moral conflicts of interest when they present themselves, or have the moral fortitude to tell the Zionists, for example, to go kick rocks and to not be tempted by their Jewish shekels, as it were. In her supposed zeal, and her zeal to supposedly protect and honor the legacy of the late great Charlie Kirk, she's actually diminishing him by making him look weak and pathetic. Because if everything she says about what was happening was true, Charlie was being bullied by the Jews. He was being bullied by the Zionists. He didn't have the moral judgment to recognize when there were people around him who were duplicitous and sneaky and going to stab him in the back. She apparently is saying that everyone in his life, pretty much everyone in his life, especially at Turning Point USA, was scheming and conniving. What does that say about Charlie Kirk's judgment? What does that say about him as a man? But I think that I was a little too generous. I was a little too, how should I say, I gave her too much of the benefit of the doubt, because what she's actually doing is she's not acting like a person who doesn't respect Charlie. She's acting like a person who is his actual enemy. And I want to show you something, and I want to kind of elucidate this concept, because I think it's important to understand. Proverbs 13:24, I believe, says, it's a familiar scripture. We typically say it like this: spare the rod, spoil the child. Okay, but it's a little bit more explicit than that. In this particular text, it says, "He that withholds the rod from his child hates him." Okay, and I'm paraphrasing. He that withholds discipline, is another way to say it, hates his child, but a person who disciplines their son loves them. Now, this is an interesting choice of words. A person that withholds discipline from their child hates them, as the text puts it. Now, I want you to think about why the writer of Proverbs, why he used that language. Do you think it's more plausible that an actual parent who refuses to correct and discipline their child actually is trying to engineer their moral deficiencies? Do you think that they actually have animus towards their child and therefore they're not disciplining them? Or is it more likely that they are actually rationalizing the fact that their child needs discipline, but in their mind they're framing it as, well, I don't want to be too hard on him, and he probably, I know he understands that he's doing wrong. He's not that bad a kid. Is it more likely that the parent is rationalizing that they don't actually have ill will and ill feelings towards their child? They actually have emotionally quite an affinity for their child, but nevertheless, their failing to discipline them actually has the same effect as it would have if they had actual animus, if they were trying to actually engineer a life that will result in destruction. Obviously, it's the latter. Obviously, when a parent fails to discipline their child, it's not because they, in their mind, in their heart, hate them, but that's what the effect of it is. And so with that in mind, it's important to understand this. Candace is acting in a way that projects or has the effect of hatred. It is the sort of thing that only Charlie's enemy would do, in effect. She's trying to tear down the thing that was his own baby, his own creation, Turning Point USA, trying to say that it's basically rotten and run through from the rooter to the tutor, as they say. How is it possible that Candace is, quote unquote, Charlie's best friend, and she's doing that? Now take that idea and multiply it times 10, because the contempt that Candace Owens has shown for ERIKA KIRK can hardly be quantified. And the fact that Megyn Kelly, once again, in her ignorance, maybe her ignorance, more than likely her duplicity and self-seeking, is doing the same thing. Just like a parent tricking themselves into thinking, I'm doing something good by my kids by not disciplining them, not correcting them. This is what people like Megyn Kelly do. That's the same action, the equivalent of actual hatred that she is doing towards them, because she refuses to say what is true and stand on the side of truth and say, I can't support you when you're doing the wrong thing. That's what Megyn Kelly is doing. And that is certainly what Candace Owens is doing towards ERIKA KIRK. Now, let's get to the receipts. I want you to keep that idea in mind, because this isn't about whether or not Candace actually in her heart and mind has an animus towards ERIKA KIRK, which I'm not putting that past her. What I'm saying is what she's doing in effect has the same impact. So we're going to look at the actual receipts. Okay. And shout out to the big homie Milk Bar TV. Milk Bar, if you don't know who this guy is, he's a treasure. Okay. Because this guy has the ultimate supercuts. It would have taken me, probably 24 hours to find these clips and splice them together. But I want you to tell me if this sounds like Candace was not implicating Charlie KIRK, was set up and actually basically betrayed by everyone around him, including his wife.
Realizing that nothing in Charlie's life was real. It's just something that keeps me up at night. Just nothing in his life was real. Like, everyone's just like, oh, let's just move on. It's so crazy to want to figure out what happened. Let's just start issuing gag orders. And the way to honor him is to give money. I don't know. There's just something really sick and demonic about the entire thing.
Charlie was betrayed by everyone. What does everyone mean? Does she mean everyone except ERIKA? Well, she didn't say that. Let's continue.
Looking to me like the apparent plan was to assassinate Charlie KIRK, who had at long last faltered on the pro-Israel cause. Okay, his words, not mine. And then to stage a hostile takeover of his brand and of his legacy.
Turning Point USA, the conservative grassroots organization co-founded by KIRK, announcing his widow ERIKA will take over as the group's CEO.
There's two things happening here. There's a widow, and then there is the chairman and the CEO, and she has assumed that role, okay? So criticisms pertaining to anything at Turning Point USA that are being directed at ERIKA are fair. Yeah.
So I can't understand how it could be more clear. She's saying they plan to murder him and replace him. Who did they replace him with? How could she not be talking about ERIKA KIRK? Let's just be even more explicit here, or let's just be a little bit more practical. Can you say the American government is responsible for X and not implicate Donald Trump? Can you say that the leader of any organization is not culpable for whatever you're accusing the organization of doing? It's the same kind of thing. Let's just frame this in the absolute most charitable way possible. Let's say she's saying everyone except ERIKA. She didn't say that. Okay, everything in her words and her actions have illustrated that she meant everyone around him betrayed him. But that says the same thing about her that it says about Charlie. You're naive, you're pathetic, you don't have moral clarity, you don't have the judgment. But this gets worse. Let's continue.
I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving. But I'm starting to think that the assassination of Charlie KIRK was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of.
He left.
Like his wife?
Me a blueprint in all of his journals, but more so than that, I was his vault for literally everything. He shared everything with me, his vision, his dreams.
In the event of his untimely death, like, he just, in the third notebook, he was like, oh, and if I accidentally get shot on campus, here's what you should do. Call ERIKA, and then after you call ERIKA, come find this notebook. And in this notebook, you'll see that I am using adjectives like fantastic and heroic to describe Mikey McCoy.
My husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
Why are you doing that? Why do I feel like you're trying to program me? And if during this process of our imagination, common sense comes on and we're like, but wait, Charlie, wasn't he like a boy genius? He's a pretty bright kid. Wouldn't he have maybe formalized that succession plan outside of like a diary? Maybe call one of his many lawyers? Maybe formalize it in a will, because that's what you're supposed to do if you are thinking about dying and you need to make a plan. You make a will. I'm sure he had a will, but no, he wanted to put it in these notebooks. And then the plan was to guilt us, I think, to try to haunt us with the ghost of Charlie's notebooks that we're never going to be allowed to read, but we're supposed to accept that they most definitely read.
This point right here is what just hung her. She just hung herself because she is directly saying, there is no way around it. She is directly saying ERIKA KIRK is lying. That's what she's saying. We're going to come back to that because this is really important, but I wanted to point that out.
Like, for sure. That's what it feels like. I am told that these people believe the official narrative. Lone shooter. No one else involved, just a crazy guy with too many pronouns in his bio.
To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected, I trust our team.
Hey, 1963 called and they want their narrative back. All that's missing from the story is a grassy knoll, right? Just need a grassy knoll. Anyways, back at headquarters, I am told it's business as usual. And it's kind of giving me like, I don't know, LBJ when he gets sworn in that famous picture. Unfortunately, sworn in. Unfortunately, of course, he's sad in this photo. Gosh, he's obviously not wanting to be the president of the United States. JFK was shot and killed. And now LBJ has to step up, unfortunately. But I gotta be honest, I wasn't there. I don't think LBJ was actually that upset. I don't know why. Vibes. The vibes just aren't vibing for me in that picture, but maybe he was. Maybe the truth is that LBJ simply, to use an expression, had his wits about him. It becomes clearer and clearer. It just screams at me that this was an inside job.
That's enough of that filth. There is no version of reality that any reasonable person could watch that and come away saying, she wasn't talking about ERIKA. I want to note the particularly sinister comments about the LBJ JFK situation, because many of you may have missed that. It may have gone over your head, but when JFK was assassinated, LBJ was sworn in his place, obviously. And she's sitting there saying, vibes, which is, I can't even go there with her. But just her vibes, she's got vibes going back, 5-6 decades, that LBJ was happy that he got to take JFK's place, seizing power for his own ambition. Oh yeah, it's tragic, but worked out well for me. She is literally equating that to ERIKA KIRK's succession of her husband. Now, for a woman who likes to throw around the term demonic, and she doesn't know the first thing about what that actually means, that's what we call demonic. Why? Because what do demons do? I've said it before and I'll say it again. the name Satan means accuser. More specifically, false accuser, because Satan is a liar. And here she is accusing ERIKA KIRK of reveling, in effect. Now, let's just deal with the obvious stupidity where people are going to come along and say, yeah, but she came out and explicitly defended ERIKA KIRK. Let me tell you why that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. The same thing happened when Ben Shapiro pointed out to Megyn Kelly that Tucker, when he was interviewing Nick Fuentes, he asked Nick Fuentes flat out, do you condemn anti-Semitism? Are you an anti-Semite? He denied being an anti-Semite, and he condemned it. Now, Ben said, and Megyn conceded the point, that was an absolute lie, because everyone knows it's a lie. You can't get up there and say, oh, I'm not an anti-Semite, but then you have this, 8-year history of saying things that say the opposite. Just saying it one time doesn't undo it. Just like just like Tucker Carlson getting up and saying, I apologize for saying I hate Christian Zionists more than anyone. I shouldn't have said that. No, that doesn't erase it. You have been building that narrative for years, saying the same kinds of things for years. And now you think just saying I didn't mean it takes it back? Or now Candace saying, oh, well, I'm not saying anything specifically about ERIKA KIRK, but I'm going to show you where she's trapped herself, because she says, and this is important to understand, that the reason why she hasn't really actually said anything about ERIKA KIRK, because this is what Megyn Kelly was alluding to when she was saying, oh, she's under some pressure to say something about ERIKA KIRK, and she resisted it. Well, why would they come to the conclusion that she needs to say something about ERIKA? Because she's been putting this crap out for months now, for weeks at least. That's why they got that idea. They got the idea from Candace. And this is what Candace says, why she's not going to address ERIKA KIRK. This is why she says.
People that are paying in super chats asking me to address ERIKA KIRK. And I guess my question back would be, what is there for me to address? She hasn't sat down for a long interview. All we have seen from ERIKA has been the speech at the memorial event for Charlie Kirk. I see the innuendo that is online. I am interested in investigating who killed Charlie Kirk. And the people that I have been reserving my ire for, my smoke for, my investigation for, are the people that are blatantly lying. Okay, people that are just lying about Charlie Kirk. That was my reason for going after Alex Clark. She lied about the Catholic thing. That was my reason for going after Andrew Colvett, Mikey McCoy. Anybody that's told a lie, Rob McCoy, blood all over him, you got my attention. What lie has ERIKA told that I'm supposed to be focused on? Okay, like, has she said something about, did she come out and say, Charlie never had an issue with Israel in the end? He loved.
No, she didn't. But you know what she did say? Charlie left in his diaries, in his succession plan, that he wanted me to take over. ERIKA confirmed that Charlie shared his plan in his diaries. That's what she said. She confirmed that. That's what Mikey McCoy said. And now you're saying that that's a lie. So it's time to put up or shut up, Candace. Either you're going to have the same smoke for ERIKA, you're going to be consistent, because according to you, she's lying. She's so obviously lying. She's obviously lying. You sat there and you attacked Mikey McCoy, saying that the way he got on the phone after Charlie got shot, that was suspicious, and you started heaping all this suspicion upon him, having people looking at him side-eyed because of something that you didn't have any idea what he was doing or why, nor do you know what you would have done in that situation. It's not like every day you watch somebody's neck get almost blown off. That's not a common occurrence, so you don't know what you would have done. But Now, you just painted yourself in the corner because you said the only reason why you're not saying anything about her is because you didn't catch her in a lie. Well, if you're being consistent, let me see if I can find it, because we can't sit here and pretend like she didn't say what she said. Let's look at it.
Fantastic and heroic to describe Mikey McCoy.
My husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
Why are you doing that? Why do I feel like you're trying to program me? And if during this process of our imagination, common sense comes on and we're like, but wait, Charlie, wasn't he like a boy genius? He's a pretty bright kid. Wouldn't he have maybe formalized that succession plan outside of like a diary? Who the king would have never approved of.
He left me a blueprint in all of his journals, but more so than that, I was his vault for literally everything. He shared everything with me, his vision, his dreams.
In the event of his untimely death, like, he just, in the third notebook, he was like, and if I accidentally get shot on campus, here's what you should do. Call ERIKA, and then after you call ERIKA, come find this notebook. And in this notebook, you'll see that I am using adjectives like fantastic and heroic to describe Mikey McCoy.
ERIKA's confirming what's in the diaries. She's saying ERIKA's lying.
Husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
And she's mocking how ERIKA called him amazing, like that's something, like it's suspicious. Like, Mikey, of course, Charlie wouldn't have used those adjectives to describe him. That's suspicious. That's Mikey basically planting evidence, trying to manipulate us into believing that Charlie had these diaries that had his plan in it. I don't know what else we need to show. What else do we need to show? This woman is evil. Maybe she should learn what the term demonic means. She uses this adjective to describe Israel and to describe Zionists and to describe all of this stuff. Demonic, the primary demonic attribute is lying and accusing people of things falsely. Those are the receipts. Megyn Kelly, you're done. You've been done. You've been done. But now you were at the ground level. Now you're under the ground. Now you're in the basement. Candace, we already know what you are. But those are the facts. Shout out to Milk Bar TV. I recommend you go give my man a follow. He goes by Milk Bar TV, but he's Nathan Livingstone. I think you can find him on YouTube if you're inclined to be on X. He's also on X as Milk Bar TV. But there you have the receipts. What else do we need to say? If Megyn Kelly had any integrity, which she does not, she would come out and she would apologize to Ben Shapiro. I just find it so rich that on the one hand, she says, I don't listen to Candace's content, so I don't know what she says. And now she's so confident. She's so confident that Candace didn't say what he said. She basically just called Ben a liar. Is she going to apologize to Ben? Never. It'll never happen. But I do find it interesting. And I think that maybe she forgot that the internet is forever. And this is just, and I got to tell you, this is not even all the stuff. I mean, I listen to anyone that tries to say that supercut was edited deceptively and out of context. That's a lie. I have seen these comments in their full context, and I'll be happy to run through them. But Candace Owens is lying. And let's see if she has that smoke for ERIKA. I don't think she was, because I think she knows that she don't have that much juice. Nobody's going to side with her against a grieving widow. But that doesn't mean we can't hold you accountable. Let me know what you think in the comments. If this is your first time, I appreciate you stopping by. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And as a relatively small channel, YouTube provides an opportunity for you to hype this video. That's a new feature they provided. So if you see that hype feature, go ahead and hype it up. I appreciate you stopping by. Until next time, my friends, God bless you.